I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. It is official. Retired Judge Barbara Jones has been appointed as the independent monitor in connection with the New York Attorney General's fraud lawsuit filed against Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, and Trump's adult children, where the New York AG's office is seeking at least $250 million in damages based upon the Trump Organization and the other defendants, including Trump and his adult children, making fraudulent valuations of their properties and putting those fraudulent valuations in statement of financial conditions sent to third parties, including lenders, insurers, and taxing authorities. And so here is the order by Judge Arthur Engoron, the state court judge who is overseeing the fraud lawsuit brought by Letitia James. I should also mention that Letitia James sought a preliminary injunction to appoint the independent monitor after filing the fraud lawsuit, and she asserted that Trump was engaged in continuing fraudulent conduct such that an independent monitor was needed to review Donald Trump's continuing financial statements made to third parties and to other entities and insurers and numerous groups like that. So let me read for you the court's order here, and it says, pursuant to this court's decision and order dated November 3rd, 2022, holding in part that this court will appoint an independent monitor of the defendants, and after considering the persons that both sides nominated, and as all counsel have nominated, Honorable Barbara S. Jones for the position, and she having confirmed in a telephone call of today's date that she will accept the appointment, this court hereby appoints the Honorable Barbara S. Jones to be the independent monitor, and that said decision and order will be directed. An order describing in detail the duties, powers, and fees of the Honorable Barbara S. Jones as independent monitor will be forthcoming shortly. And as noted in the order, one of the interesting things here was that both the recommendations made by Letitia James's office, the New York Attorney General's office, and by Trump's lawyers, when they listed the individuals who they would recommend for the independent monitor role, they both selected the name of Barbara Jones. And since Barbara Jones was on both of their lists, she was appointed by Judge Arthur Engoron. Now, we've heard the name Barbara Jones before, and so who is Barbara Jones? So Barbara Jones is a retired federal judge, and after retiring, she's been appointed as a special master, which is a little bit different than an independent monitor, though, on some very high-profile matters. So she's a private practicing attorney now. She works at a law firm called Bracewell, and people hire her to review records, and she's court appointed, and she charges and bills for her time as a private attorney, and she makes reports to courts. That's pretty much one of her main jobs right now. And so she was the special master who was appointed in connection with the Rudy Giuliani search warrant that was executed by the Department of Justice. She was also the special master in connection with the search warrant executed on Michael Cohen's property. So she has those high-profile experiences that she's been involved with. Her name also appeared, though, because in connection with the search warrant that was executed at Mar-a-Lago, when Judge Eileen Cannon improperly found that she had equitable jurisdiction to basically block the Department of Justice from engaging in their criminal investigation, and then the classified records were returned to the Department of Justice, but all of that is still being appealed now regarding the remaining records. But when Eileen Cannon set forth this special master process to review the records the government obtained when they searched Mar-a-Lago, one of the recommendations that the Department of Justice made was Barbara Jones to become the special master, and the Department of Justice made another recommendation. Donald Trump, on the other hand, made a few recommendations, not Barbara Jones. One of the recommendations that Trump made was Judge Raymond Dearie, and Judge Raymond Dearie was ultimately selected by Judge Eileen Cannon. And since recommending Dearie, Trump has objected to basically all of Raymond Dearie's orders, the own person that Donald Trump recommended for that job. And he's said that Raymond Dearie's doing it wrong, and he's run to Judge Eileen Cannon on basically all of Judge Raymond Dearie's scheduling orders. And Raymond Dearie, who Trump appointed, has become no fan of Trump because Trump isn't following the law in that proceeding. But what's notable is that in the Mar-a-Lago matter, in the Judge Eileen Cannon equitable jurisdiction matter where she said parties come and recommend a special master, Trump and his attorneys objected to Barbara Jones when she was proposed by the Department of Justice. But here, she was now recommended by Trump's lawyers to become an independent monitor and selected here. So they didn't want Barbara Jones on the Mar-a-Lago case. They got Raymond Dearie. Now they're upset they got Raymond Dearie. So now they selected who the Department of Justice wanted on the Mar-a-Lago case to become the independent monitor in the fraud lawsuit and preliminary injunction providing for an independent monitor brought in the New York AG's lawsuit. And so I want to just provide to you here some detail from Judge Arthur Engoron's November 3rd order appointing the independent monitor so you understand what the duties of Barbara Jones are and what they're going to be. The conclusion. Thus, for the reasons set forth herein, the Office of Attorney General's motion for preliminary injunction and appointment of an independent monitor is granted, and defendants are hereby preliminarily enjoined from selling, transferring, or otherwise disposing of any non-cash asset listed on the 2021 Statement of Financial Condition of Donald J. Trump without first providing 14 days written notice to the Office of Attorney General and this court, and the court will appoint an independent monitor to be paid by defendants, so Trump will be paying for it, for the purpose of ensuring compliance with this order. If the monitor reasonably determines that defendants have violated this order, the monitor shall immediately report that matter to the Office of Attorney General, defendants, and this court. And defendants, Trump and his adult children, and the Trump Organization are hereby ordered to provide the monitor any financial statement, statement of financial condition, or other asset valuation disclosure, or other financial disclosure to a lender, insurer, or other financial institution, any non-privileged document, book, record, or other information bearing on any of the foregoing or reasonably necessary to assess the accuracy of any representation and to comply with all reasonable requests by the monitor for such information. And defendants are hereby ordered to provide the monitor with a full and accurate description of the structure and liquid and illiquid holdings and assets of the Trump Organization, its subsidiaries, and all other affiliates no later than 2 weeks after the monitor's appointment. And defendants are hereby ordered to provide the monitor at least 30 days in advance information regarding any planned or anticipated restructuring of the Trump Organization, its subsidiaries, and all other affiliates, or of any plans for disposing or refinancing of significant Trump Organization assets or disposing significant liquidity. And the court will appoint an independent monitor from the names recommended, and then the court sets out the process, which has now been completed, where the Attorney General has submitted their recommendations. One of them was Barbara Jones. Trump submitted his recommendations. One of them was Barbara Jones, and the court now has selected Barbara Jones, and now that process that I just read will be taking place. But this is like Trump's worst nightmare here, to have an independent monitor oversee, assess, and look through all of these books and records as Trump tries to engage in these shady financial dealings with third parties. As I've argued here in the MeidasTouch network, in many ways, this is worse than Donald Trump having to pay a large judgment or being ordered to, where he appeals and then he tries to hide his assets, because here, someone very well qualified will have access to all those books and records of the Trump Organization, look through them, review them, and ensure that Trump is not engaged in any fraud, any fraudulent dealings. Now, Why do we think that Donald Trump picked Barbara Jones, retired federal judge Barbara Jones here, but objected to retired Judge Barbara Jones in the Mar-a-Lago matter? So there is a level of incompetence that's there. I mean, think about how incompetent they are. They picked Raymond Dearie, and Raymond Dearie is now making rulings against them because they don't follow the law. So now they go with Barbara Jones, who's known as independent-minded, no-nonsense judge. So why Barbara Jones here? One, I think they're incompetent. But two, I suspect that the other people who were listed on the on the New York AG's list were more people who do forensic financial analysis on a day-to-day basis. The work of a special master is a bit different than an independent monitor, whereas a special master reviews records to determine privilege, whether or not there's attorney-client privilege or not over documents, and to make recommendations to the court regarding those privilege claims. It's a little bit different than what an independent monitor does, who will be reviewing books and records to try to suss out if there's financial fraud or if the Trump organization's cooking the books, if they're hiding assets. And so I think one of the things that Trump's lawyers may be relying on is they're underestimating Barbara Jones' financial sophistication, is what I think they're probably doing. But Barbara Jones was a federal judge in the Southern District of New York. She's overseen some of the most complex financial cases and Ponzi scheme cases, and she's reviewed records like that before. So I think they've underestimated her, and I think the fact that Barbara Jones is going to be overseeing Trump's financials should give us all a great degree of relief that he won't be able to, he's not going to be able to trick her and do things that transfer assets without telling her. And you see the court order there. And if he violates the court order there and tries to, hide or not disclose things to the monitor, then we get into criminal contempt, and Donald Trump can be held accountable for that. So Trump's been ranting and raving about the appointment of the independent monitor. He appealed it to the First Appellate Division in New York. The one judge who oversaw that hearing denied Donald Trump's appeal. It will now be heard, I think, after Thanksgiving in front of the full panel in the Appellate Division, who will be reviewing Judge Engoron's order. But for now, one of the really, really important things to note is Barbara Jones officially appointed as the independent monitor. That's who New York Attorney General Letitia James wanted, also on Trump's list. She's got an incredible reputation. Again, I think it was a great thing for justice. I think Trump's underestimating her, which is why his lawyers selected her. And also, one of the reasons I feel that way too is the letter from Trump to Engoron providing their recommendations only had Alina Habba's name in it. I didn't see Christopher Keiss or Trusty, who are slightly better lawyers and have a better reputation as lawyers. So the fact that this is just coming from Habba's been wrong about everything. She was just sanctioned by a federal judge in Florida in one of the frivolous cases she brought by Trump for $50,000. And that's just the first sanctions motion in this BS racketeering case she brought against 29 individuals that she sued them. She sued on behalf of Trump, and there's about $1 million in other sanction motions still pending against her. So Alina Habba is a horrible lawyer. I don't think there was a lot of strategy thought into this, but good news that Barbara Jones is appointed. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hey, hit the subscribe button right now. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your support. We just passed 700,000. Hit subscribe and also consider becoming a patron of MeidasTouch by going to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Consider becoming a patron today. Lots of exclusive content there, but most importantly, help grow this independent media platform. We're not funded by any outside investor. So our whole growth is based on you. And if you love this channel, if you can, no worries. If you can't, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. I'm Ben Meiselas. Until next time.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.